G'day, my name's Justin and I'm part of the sales team here at Tower Systems. Firstly, if you're watching this, thank you for considering our rural store point of sale package. The purpose of this video is to basically give you a run through on functionality the software offers, functionality suited to this particular industry, and I guess a couple of features within the software today that our customers are loving. So we'll get straight into it. Firstly, this is what we call the main screen or the main dashboard of the software. Now the handy thing about this is it can be customized per terminal. So if you've got your register PCs or your point of sale computers where you just want the staff to be able to access the point of sale screen, the customer screen, and maybe the end of shift process, you can simplify that screen to suit. And then you can have your back office set up where you might do things like, customer quotes and invoices, you might do your goods received, you might run your customer statements, and a lot of the back officey sort of stuff. That customization does flow into the point of sale screen as well. So you'll see here I've got my hotkeys along the right hand side. Now this might look like a lot of hotkeys, it probably is. Ideally, if products have physical barcodes, you simply scan it and you don't need this many hotkeys obviously. But for demonstrational purposes, I've got a heap over here. But the good thing about this is you can customize this screen. So you can reduce the number of buttons, you can change things like button sizes, font sizes, how many buttons as I said, and where you want those buttons as well. So if you're coming from a system where you might be used to it on the left hand side of the screen or along the bottom, and you want to make that transition as easy as possible, you can customize this screen to suit. Now to do a sale, obviously as I said, you typically scan a product and that will bring it straight up. I'm just going to use my hotkeys to bring up a couple of items here. Now the first thing I want to run through is account sales or account customers. Now, sounds like a really easy task, functionality that should be in any sort of software, but you'll be surprised how many people actually ask for it. So I wanted to give you a run through on booking things up to customer accounts, doing customer quotes and invoices, running customer statements, and simply making payments against those customers or transactions against those customers. Now the first thing is booking something up to a customer account. So when I click on customer sale here, I can choose it out of my customer list. Now you can click on this button here and choose to show and hide specific info to do with that customer. And you can move these columns around depending on what you want to default search by. So I'm going to click on this customer here. Now a couple of things on this screen, you'll notice that it's an invoice sale to Tower Systems and the transaction has been discounted because this customer here is on a particular discount profile. Now these profiles can be either a percentage off retail, a percentage above cost. They can simply be trade or wholesale prices. So you can set up as many profiles in the back end and assign those different profiles to certain customers. So when you transact a sale against a particular customer and they're on a profile, the system will automate those discounts for you. Another thing here as well is this here is an invoice sale, as I said, but for whatever reason, if this customer does want to pay cash for this sale, you can simply click on this button here and that will convert it to a cash sale for this one transaction. And you can click it to make it go back to an invoice sale as well. Now when I end this sale, you can end it via staff codes or staff initials, but that will simply either email or SMS the soft copy of the invoice to this customer, or it can do thermal A4 or A5 as well. Another thing I wanted to show you was quoting and invoicing. So again, I'll bring up a couple of items here. And again, I'll choose that one customer. Now, if you've scanned 10 items in here and the customer says at the end, hey, can you print me out a quotation for this? You can simply do that without going to the facility first. Now, we do have a quoting and invoicing facility. So if you did know it was going to be a quote from the start, you can simply go to that and add the stock in from there. Rather than deleting everything and then re-adding everything in the quote and invoice facility, you can simply click this suspend sale button and send it to the quote and invoice management from here. And from here, that will send it over to that facility that I was talking about. So you'll see here you've got additional info, so you can do all this info about this particular quote. You can have notes, so whether it's delivery notes or any other notes you want to do about that quote. You can have line item notes as well. So if they're buying, say, sleepers, and they come in 1.2 meters and you need to cut those down, you can do notes about individual line items as well. Now when I print that, it'll look something similar to this one. So fully customizable, you can have it landscape or portrait. Would put your logo up there. You'd obviously have your customer details, delivery address details. You got your delivery notes there as well, and it simply says quotation. Now when you want to invoice a customer, it can obviously say tax invoice, and you can go one step further and actually have the system print a picking slip as well. So if you are a store that does do deliveries, picking slips are handy for customers on the receiving end, just so they know exactly what was picked and what wasn't. Just saves any discrepancies that you need to sort out, rather than the customer calling the store and wondering what was going on with not getting an item or two. Now, doing your customer statements is done through the software as well. Now, the good thing about this is you can have multiple templates. So some customers might like it itemized, some might like just the invoice number. You can pass on postage or accounting fees for certain statements as well. And that can be all set up, and you can assign those templates per customer. Now, this is what a statement can look like. So again, we'd put your logo up the top. This is an itemized statement, so you'll see the invoice number, the items that were on the invoice, and you've got the due date for those particular invoices as well. Down the bottom is the remittance advice. So it's pretty straightforward, what the current balance is, what's overdue, and what their total balance is, with all your banking details at the bottom as well. And to make payments, really simple to do. So if the customer brings in a physical copy of that statement or invoice, they're all barcoded, so you can simply scan that barcode. Otherwise, you can just click on the customer payment button. Again, choose your customer out of the list, and you've got a couple of different options here. So if they just want to pay their last statement, you can simply click on that button. The amount on the last statement was $4,133.48. So you can simply just pay that as is. Otherwise, if they want to pay specific invoices, you can just manually select which invoices they want to pay. And you'll see as I'm ticking the invoices, this payment date changes accordingly based on the total of each of those invoices. If they just wanted to pay a random amount, it simply comes off the older invoices first. So that's just a general overview of the account customer side of things. What I wanted to show you is a couple of cool little features within the software, things like automating discounts and passing on additional info on receipts. So firstly, we've got what's called multi-buy. So when I bring up this item, it's not doing anything at the moment. But if I was to assign this sale to a customer that's part of a multi-buy promotion, you'll see here that this customer here only has 9 more to go on the advanced multi-buy promotion before they can redeem their free one. So you can have the system set up things like mix and match promos, quantity range promos. You can do discounts on certain departments or categories for a certain time period. So however you want to pass on catalog or promotional pricing, you can have the system automate that as well. And when I end that sale, that message will simply print on the bottom of the customer's receipt as well. And if I go repeat item, or I'll just change this item to 9, and if I go repeat item one more time, there it is there, couldn't find it, you'll see here that they can now redeem their free bag. So if I click on that item again, you'll see here that it's at $0. We've got the appropriate reporting for you to work out your rebates if you need to pass that on to certain suppliers as well. Another little thing is I've got fencing per meter, but any sort of fractional quantity that you want to sell items in, the system will absolutely handle that. So I've got this as $2.95 per meter. If I wanted to sell 5.25 meters of that, it can be any sort of fractional quantity. It doesn't need to be quarters, halves, or fulls. If you want to do 5.21 or 5.36, any sort of fractional quantity the system will absolutely handle. Another thing is when I sell this particular fertilizer, I'll just bring up another item here. If I was to just do a normal over-the-counter cash sale, I'll just preview a receipt just so I can show you a couple of things on the receipt. Now this screen doesn't usually appear, but I'm just going to make this a bit bigger. So obviously we'd put your logo up there. A couple of smarts about this receipt. So when I sold this particular lawn fertilizer, you'll see that I can pass on additional info. Now this additional info can be multiple different things. So it can be care instructions, it can be hazardous good information, it can be warranty information. Any additional info that you want to pass on when you're selling specific items, you can do that via receipts and invoices. You can actually go one step further and attach data sheets or PDFs to certain items as well. So if you're emailing a soft copy of that receipt or invoice to a customer and it has got a data sheet attached to it, it will automatically attach that in the email. You don't need to pass this on, for absolutely every item, but it certainly comes in handy for specific items that you need to pass on important information for. Another thing is what we call discount vouchers. So it's just one form of customer loyalty that the software offers. There are multiple different ways to offer loyalty within the software. If you want to offer points-based loyalty, certainly the discount vouchers are proving really popular and working very well. We have got a separate video, a more in-depth look into discount vouchers, so feel free to reach out if you wanted to see that video. Cool. Another thing I wanted to show you were a couple of cool integrations we've recently had within the software. So firstly, an integration we've done with an online database called Barcode Lookup. Now, I'm just going to search advanced cat food, but you'll see here this is an online database of over 1 billion different items. So if I go back to the home screen, you'll see here that it's got over 1 billion items. Now, this is rapidly growing, this number. If your supplier doesn't have any items on this database, they can absolutely do it, and it just makes your life bringing stock into the system a lot easier and quicker. So if I was to search this item here, I'm just going to bring up this item here. I'll copy this barcode. Now, you don't usually have to manually do this, but what I'm demonstrating is if I was to scan this barcode at the point of sale, or I'm arriving an invoice, this screen here is basically saying, hey, I can't find this item in the system. So if I click on add, it's already stored my barcode, but if I go through the add stock item wizard, you'll see that it performs a quick little barcode lookup. Now what that's doing is grabbing all that data from that online database and bringing it into the system. So I don't have to type in description, I have to assign it to a department and or a category, and I have to give it cost price and sell price info as well. So I'm just going to go $59.95. Now the handy thing is it's brought across an extended description. So the extended description is as I demonstrated on the customer's receipt or invoice. If you don't want that, you can simply delete it, or you can simply copy it over to your web store description, which is handy. So I'm just going to click that. Before I get to the web settings, I can click on images, and you'll see that it's brought across the image from that online database. It's brought across additional info like manufacturer and a couple of other things. Now when I go to my web settings, if you're connected to an online store like Shopify, again, it's copied the web description from my extended description field, but I can delete that and go, you know what, I'm not happy with the description they've given me, or I want to be a bit more unique rather than having the same description as probably a lot of other businesses that use that same integration. So what I can do is I can get AI to write a web description for me. So within a click of a button, you'll see here that AI has written a pretty comprehensive web description about that particular item for me. Now if I go save and exit, tick web store item, put in a price, and I can have that automate that price to be the same as my sell price. When I click on finish, not only has that added that product into my database, but it also has sent it across to my Shopify site ready for online sales. So two pretty cool integrations to make your life bringing stock into the system quickly and easily, and as I said, moving that stock across to your website with images, with web descriptions, with web prices, and all the other information as well. Another thing I wanted to show you was what we call bagging up or bagging down. Now, really popular facility within the produce and rural space. What this facility allows you to do is basically those things that I mentioned. So whether you're bagging down stock, and what I mean by that is if you get a 20 kilo bag of something in and you want to break that into, say, 10 2-kilo bags, this facility will allow you to handle that easily. And same as if you're making your own custom mixes. So you might have, a bit from component A, component B, and component C, and all those 3 components might make up your own custom mix. This facility allows you to handle that whilst keeping track of your stock on hand figures for each of those components and accurate pricing information as well. Now, there's a couple of smarts about this. Basically how you want to calculate your price method. So there's a couple of different options there. Whether you want it to auto recalculate if any of the pricing info of each component changes. So what that means is if you've got 3 components that make up a bag and component B actually changes their price, so it might have gone up or down in price, do you want that to reflect in your retail price on those bags as well? And never auto recalculate is another option. And then you've got your make method, so how you want to make those, whether you want to do it manually or whether you want the system to automate those products as well. Another thing is what's called the Insights dashboard. So really handy dashboard to see firstly how the day's going. It doesn't need to be specific to the day, you can do certain date ranges. But basically what we've done with this dashboard is we've accumulated data from about 8 or 9 different reports and put it into 6 different tabs along the top here. So I'll just bring up a bit more data. I'll do 2024. So you'll see here you've got your breakdown on your departments, your GP, your average basket. If you're connected to a website, it'll tell you your web sales in that period. What's not selling, so this is a really good tab and it'll tell you basically what's not selling within the software, so your dead stock essentially. What are you missing out on? So I've got nothing here, but basically the system's smart enough to tell you what you would be selling if you had these items here in stock. What sells well with what? So it will give you a top 10 list of your top selling items and what sells well with those top 10 selling items as well with this list down the bottom. Is theft an issue? And your busiest and quietest periods. Now that's just if you want a quick little snapshot of, as I said, whatever date range you've selected. We have got a heap of different reports in here. So you've got all your sales reports, your stock reports, your staff reports, and your customer reports as well. And we've got a more in-depth cloud-based dashboard as well. If you wanted to look at business insights, away from the store. One thing I'll touch on is the Air integration. So we've got an integration with Air, so we can send orders to Air, and then when you're arriving that stock, bring those invoices in electronically, just saving you a bunch of time. Like I showed you with the barcode lookup integration, just automatically populates a lot of those details about brand new stock items that you haven't had in stock before. Just on the Air integration, we do integrate with a bunch of other suppliers in the pet space more specifically. We do Kongs, Pet Pacific, and a couple of others. Eastern Distributors is another one, and as I said, a couple of others as well. Look, that's just a quick run through. If you did want to see the software any further or in more depth, or had any questions that weren't answered in this video, feel free to reach out to either Tim or myself, or simply email sales@towersystems.com.au. We are pretty transparent with what we offer online. So firstly, this is our pricing page. Being a produce and rural store, you're probably looking at the advanced or ultimate package, and you'll see here the different inclusions in each of those packages. But yeah, as I said, any other questions, feel free to reach out to either Tim or myself, and we'd be happy to set up a Zoom meeting or just to answer any questions you have via the phone. Thanks for watching.